Hello and welcome back to Ticker Talks. Together with the team at Polaron Languages Services, we are looking to use language to connect communities. And whilst Polaron is the sponsor of our program, all the views and opinions in the following segment are of course our own. And before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that this segment is being held on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and I pay my respects to elders both past, present and future. And joining me as always is Director of Polaron Language Services, Eva Hussein. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Now, what's been happening at Polaron this week?
We are talking disability today, disability in diverse communities, which is a really important topic. We have done a few translation projects in the last few weeks for one particular organization, which is one of our favorites. It is called the Cerebral Palsy Alliance. You'll see on the screen a couple of projects we did into Arabic, Chinese and Vietnamese. It's one organization that we really love working with, and that is because they truly committed to making the information available for people that might have disability in a way that they can understand. Their source documents, or the English documents that they write to be translated, are written in a really easy to translate way, and they're very, punchy, to the point, and also very respectful to the communities that they work with. So we're very pleased to have them as partners, or to be doing translation work for them.
Fantastic. I expect nothing less from Polaron. You guys are always reaching out to all sorts of people and places and businesses to help connect them. Let's talk about miscommunication of the week. And I thought this was a really interesting one, considering everything that's been going on with the COVID-19 pandemic. What have you seen? Take our audience through miscommunication of the week.
And Mark, I think it's fair to say that the messaging around vaccinations in Australia has been a failure for all kinds of reasons. And I experienced one of them just on the weekend. I took my partner to get vaccinated, and he struggled. He's a native English speaker. He's British, so he should not have any issue, understanding the information as it was presented. So on the screen there, you see conditions of entry into the vaccination hub where he attended his appointment. It is written in such a way, apart from the spelling error, which somebody covered, it is written in such a way that can make you really scared about what you're entering into. So the language isn't positive, the language isn't inclusive, it's difficult to understand, and it implies that they're going to vaccinate you against your will. And if you imagine that you might be from a multicultural background and English isn't your native language, you will struggle even more.
It's a scary proposition, somebody coming at you with a needle in the best of times. So I can only imagine how this miscommunication could actually heighten that fear factor. So this week, as you touched on, we're discussing disability support and advocacy for diverse communities in Australia. People with a disability from non-English speaking backgrounds are accessing disability services up to 2/3 less than Australian-born people, despite having the same rates of disability. So this lower rate of access is due to a number of factors, which we will discuss with our guests for today. And I've got Margherita Coppolino, who is an influential disability and inclusion consultant, photographer and advisor for government, commercial businesses and social justice organisations. Margherita is first-generation Australian, born to a Sicilian mother who migrated to Australia in 1959. And Christian Astourian is the program manager of the Diversity and Disability Initiative at the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest, and also runs his own consultancy and is a member of several boards. Christian is fluent in Italian, French, Greek and English, and welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christian, I'll start with you. Australians with disabilities from diverse backgrounds are obviously accessing services 2/3 less, as I mentioned earlier. What are some of the main barriers that are stopping people from getting that care that they need?
Well, there are different barriers that call people with a disability face. One is the language barrier, and another important one is the cultural difference, because we need to remember that a lot of cold people who come to Australia originally come from countries where there is no services, there is no support from government or community organization that is available to them. So they are used to really doing everything within the family, and they don't feel comfortable to ask for support.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask Margherita, I'm going to ask you the same question, some of the barriers that you've seen, just off the back of what Christian was saying there.
Yeah, look, can I just say, also I'm the president of the National Ethnic Disability Alliance, which is the virtual peak for migrants and refugees for people with disabilities. Christian's organisation, D&D, is actually our Victorian member organisation, and we actually do a lot of work working with disability organisations around how to, address the issues of barriers of people from cold communities with disabilities accessing their services. And I also particularly would like to say that I think the lack of confidence, lack of language and fact sheets that are available on disability organisations, and also not including people from cold communities with disabilities in co-design of their services and products when they're developing them.
So people are actually developing the methods to support people with disabilities without actually communicating with people with disabilities? Is that the case?
So what I'm actually saying is when organisations develop their policies, their procedures, their programming, they may, get feedback from various people with disabilities, but then they don't look at the intersectional lens, as in people from LGBTIQ communities, people from coal community, and look at all those intersectional lenses. It's just not the person who has a disability. They have all other intersectional lens that could be the barrier why they're accessing that services.
And Eva, do you think self-advocacy from people with disability could improve this as well? Just your thoughts?
Yes, thank you for that question. And one of the reasons I was so excited when both Margherita and Christian agreed to come and talk to us is because I think people are sick and tired, quite honestly, about organizations making decisions without them. So this is a really good example of where, both of our guests today are very engaged, and they're very loud advocates of their rights and also of the rights of other people. But it's actually doesn't happen as often as it should, so that those voices of people that may have disability are actually heard. And we don't, as Margherita say, co-designing services. In other words, asking the people that services are for, what do they want, what do they need, how do they expect services to be delivered. We have no hope of actually providing services that are culturally appropriate for people's needs. And I think it's also fair to say that we are more and more inclusive, but there's quite a long way. And I think both Margherita and Christian will confirm that, to actually, even using the language that's inclusive, so that we don't talk about them and us. Throughout the pandemic, we're talking about how we all in this together. I am not so sure whether we've succeeded in that regard.
Yeah, and as you've all outlined, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. What are some of the ways that organisations can improve their support systems, just to look at the positives? And Christian, I'll go to you. What's one way that organisations could improve?
Well, there is no doubt really what Margherita was saying before about the co-design really, and getting call people with a disability involved. This is a very important part. And also, there are, for example, like our diversity and disability program apply in providing self-advocacy to people by building up confidence in people who speak up for themselves and to feel really comfortable to ask for support and to know what their right is. One thing that I would like to add, which I think is important, is to remember that when we work with called communities, it's not enough to say that, for example, you've got the right to ask for support, you've got the right to use the service, you've got human rights. This is not enough at all. You need actually to develop a direct relationship with people where they start to feel comfortable to go to you and to ask for services and support.
Some good points there, Christian. So building confidence and helping people come together in communities. Margherita, I'll ask you the same question. What is something that could be done to improve organisations just off what Christian was saying there?
Look, I think first and foremost is to ensure that people with disabilities from all intersectional links are included in conversations at the beginning and not brought in at the end once something's been designed. I think the key thing here is about capacity building of people with disabilities from co-communities, and this is something I know Nita's been talking about for quite some time, is that if you look at not only disability organisations but multicultural organisations, particularly multicultural organisations, where are people with disabilities from co-communities on those boards and being trained up to be on boards of multicultural services as well as disability organisations. That is where the decision making really actually happens in organisations, and having people with disabilities in those settings will definitely influence cultural change of that organisation and improve the self-advocacy or self-representation of people from communities with disabilities.
The perks of inclusivity. I'd like to thank you both for coming on the program today, and I look forward to seeing how you guys are going down the track. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Eva, would you like to summarise a little bit about what we touched on today? It's obviously an incredibly important topic to unpack, so thank you for bringing it to us at Ticker.
Yes, of course. As always, thank you for giving us the platform. And both Christian and Margherita are my absolute heroes, because if you look into their life stories, they have overcome many adversities, and I'm just very proud to know them, actually. But in terms of a quick summary, look, I think let's not do things without the people that something concerns. If you are a service provider, if you are designing services for people, ask those ones that this is for input. Not only will your services be better, but they'll also feel included and engaged in whatever you are designing for them. So I think it's really, really important. Some of the points that both Christian and Margherita made were, to really listen to people, to have them on boards, and to look at a person not as a, to look at them more as a person with all kinds of experiences, all kinds of hats that they might be wearing. So this is where Margherita was talking about intersectionality, and what that means is that you might be, as a person, in an intersection of kinds of influences. One of them might be diversity, another one might be LGBTI. So organizations need to look at people that they serve as humans and not just tick boxes, I guess, is the message.
100%. Eva, thank you so much for your time, as always, on Ticket Talks and bringing me such interesting people and expanding the conversation and their voices. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Now, guys, if you have any questions about how to reach your multicultural audiences, get in touch with the team at Polaron. Contact details are on the screen, and I look forward to chatting to you again next time. I'm Mike Loder, and that was Ticket Talks.